welcome back. This is Girls Only Sports, the Playbook. I am Candace. That is Kay. It's been a minute.
It's been a long minute, a long rough minute.
But once again, life be lifing. But we're going to get back on track. But everybody's feeling good, so we're ready to get back into it. Please follow us, Girls Only Sports, on all social media platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, our website, girlsonlysportsnetwork.com. Girls Only Sports everywhere. Check us out, hook us up. We're going to try to catch up on what's happening in girls and women's sports, but it's been a lot.
So we can't cover it. Since we've been here, it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
It's been a lot, but we're going to cover as much as we can. We got a few history makers to shout out. As usual, talk about all the madness that's going on in the WNBA this season, as well as catching up with the NWSL. So we're going to start off right there in our full court press with the NWSL. Currently, they're on their July break. There's a lot of international tournaments going on, but just real quick, just to recap kind of like this first half of the NWSL season, it's like Kansas City and everybody else.
Pretty much. Kansas City's really running away with it this year. So I'm excited to see how everybody regroups and comes back together after this international break to see who is going to make that push to give Kansas City a run for their money in the second half of the season. As it gets late, if Kansas City can keep up that momentum that they already have. So it's a good time. It was a good time for a break for everybody. A lot of people was looking a little shaky.
Right. It's time to regroup. And their head coach, Vlatko, who used to coach the U.S. Women's National Team, he was the coach of the month for the Kansas City Current. They went 6-0 undefeated in the month of June. So what can you say about a team that's just head and shoulders above the rest right now? I think they're 12-2 or 14-2, something crazy like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in the NWSL. And other moves, we kind of talk about this a little bit as American players get poached. Yes. Lily Johannes, the 19-year-old superstar, looks like she's headed to OL Lyon's 8-time champ. Give us. Chelsea was in the mix for a minute, but what does it mean for somebody as young as her, this talented, to be switching teams and getting a nice penny for it too?
Yeah, I'm excited for her. I know she's probably excited for the change. Ajax is a good team, beginning team, starting out and everything, but I'm excited to see her at Lyon. I will say Lyon has had quite the transfer window. There's a lot of big names coming in there. Chelsea, I'm excited to see how they're going to make
everything work.
Talent. Yeah, all this talent that these teams are, that Lyon especially is getting. How they're going to play in. It's going to be good for her to be able to play under such a powerhouse of a team with a lot of legends, a lot of star power, a lot of presence already in that team. And like you said, only 19 years old. So sky's the limit at this point.
But we want her in the NWSL.
No. Not yet. I think for her, especially because she's already been in that realm of the European lights and everything, I think that was the most logical move for her to make was a team like Lyon. Well, I wouldn't be mad if she was in the NWSL, but I think that choice was pretty.
Well, we're gonna get her when she's in her 30s.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God. But keeping on with some women's soccer news, and Lily Johannes being on the U.S. Women's National Team, they've had a whole bunch of friendlies in these last few weeks after their loss to Brazil in early April. They kind of went on maybe a 5-6 game run, shutout. Yeah. It's been 3-0, 4-0.
Looking good.
They look good.
Yeah, they look good.
I think one of the interesting things about kind of what these friendlies are doing, it's getting used to all of the new players and new assets, just because those mainstays that we normally are used to, part of them have new last names because they got married. The other part of them are out because of either pregnancy or injury. So we're getting to see a lot of new faces and seeing how they get acclimated to the national stage.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, I'll say this. I've seen a lot of people calling this B team. And get it, Brandon, I get it because when you have the Trinities, you have Mal, you have
Sophia.
Yeah, you have all these people missing. And it's easy to think like, yes, once they are back in form, they will be on this national team. But I don't think you can call this a B team. Like, this team looks good. This team looks dangerous. I would be confident taking them to a tournament right now. That's maybe being, a little hopeful. But I think the team looks good. And I think Emma Hayes knows what she's doing. Emma Hayes is a proven winner. And she's proving it quite literally since she's been with this U.S. National team. So good hands. If this is the B team, I feel good.
You feel comfortable.
I'll say that.
Now you're gonna have to school me on this part of it. Now there's, as we stated, there's some international breaks going on, so a lot of the players in the NWSL are headed to their national teams. We got a few international big tournaments happening: the Euros, the Women's African Cup of Nations, Copa America. Now, why isn't the U.S. women's national team playing in Copa America? Like, did I miss something? Break that down for me.
So I was having this conversation earlier today, and I was like, why doesn't the U.S. play in Copa America? To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure this is just South America. I think this is South America tournament solely. Because I was like, you would think they would play in Copa America, but no, this is just Copa South America.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you for the distinction. But a couple of, like we said, have already started. We'll start with the European leagues. They've started already, got a couple of wins for some of the top teams. Spain hasn't lost. Sweden hasn't lost. They're starting off 2-0. The Netherlands won their first game. So who do you see, or who are the favorites coming out of the Women's Euro tournament?
To win?
Yes.
Right now, I think Spain looks like the best team. They look like the team to beat. I'm going to give praise to Alexia Putellas anytime I can. I think she looks like the best player in the world. And
I think she got a big write-up in Sports Illustrated too. So
listen, she looks fantastic. I think this whole Spain national team in general looks fantastic. I think the back line looks a little shaky. And it'll be interesting when they get out of group stage. I think Spain has a group that they can pretty much easily run through, which I think is good for them to get those wins under their belt. But also, like you said, Sweden looks good. France looks good. France was a team I was very nervous about because they didn't take a lot of veteran leadership. They went young in their roster. But that first game against England, who is the reigning champs of the Euros, they look good. Like, France looks very solid. So I think once we get out of group stage, I think it's going to get very competitive. So right now, I'm going Spain
and we, girl. You are an American.
No. I just meant like we in general.
Oh,
like, the tournament. No.
Not just switching loyalties.
No. I meant like once we get out of once the whole tournament's out of group stage.
Got you.
We as viewers will get to see some very exciting games. I think it'll get very competitive.
Who do you think will make? I gave you who was going to win, but who do you think is going to make that Euro League final?
Oh, I don't even know how the brackets are. I don't even know how it's set up right now. But for me, I'm not counting. If Spain and England do not play before the finals, I'm not counting. I'm not counting England out. I'm going Spain, England. If that matchup can happen, they might be on the same side, but forgive me if I'm wrong. I haven't looked at it.
And then there's the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. That I believe most of the teams have had their first game. Senegal has won their first one. Nigeria, South Africa. So who do you have coming out? There's 3 groups in that tournament. Who's your favorites in the Africa Women's Cup?
I like Nigeria and I like Zambia. I'm sticking Barbara Brandon, but we're gonna keep NWSL. You can't stop her. She scored within probably 8 seconds. Like you just can't start. You can't stop Barbara Banda. I'm going Zambia. I think their team just has a lot of momentum. There's a lot of star power even within the NWSL on that team that we get to see. So I'm excited to see what they can do. I'm still trying to find out where I can watch those games. So I'm just saying, everybody's all eyes on Euros. Where can I watch AFCON? Like, somebody let me know. If y'all know, drop the links and drop the plugs down there.
That may need to be in X's and O's because on our next segment, like, I have something to say about where can we watch these games. Yeah, it's getting difficult. But the last one in international soccer play, there is Copa America. Now that we got the distinction, this is Copa South America. That gets started this Friday, July 11th. So give me a couple teams outside. You know what? You cannot say Brazil.
I have no other team. There's no other team for me to say.
You got to give me another team outside of Brazil that is, at least going to be in the final or competing to take them out.
Okay. So take Brazil out because they're going to win. Which, that's not even me being Marta bias, Brazil bias. Brazil looks good. They've had some top competitors recently, and they are in great form. But Argentina is always a team I get excited to watch. Young talent, veteran talent on their team that, you never know what could happen. So I think it's going to be an interesting and fun tournament. I was looking at the groups today because they don't start till, I think, Friday or Saturday, something like that.
Friday.
So I'm excited to see a lot of those matchups. And in a tournament like Copa America, it gets competitive because a lot of those teams, you think, like you said, you think of the Brazils. Argentina's a national, like they're known internationally as a threat. But also there's like those smaller countries that don't really get too much, notoriety and things like that. So it makes for exciting games. So I'm really looking forward to Copa America this year.
Yeah. That again, kicks off. Whatever the proper tournament kicks off this Friday, July 11th. And, we need more ways to watch these games that are a bit easier than surfing 150 million places. And to stay on that same line, the America Cup in women's basketball was going on. A lot of the players in the WNBA, a lot of international players had to leave to go play for their home nations. Which was hard to watch as well. It was some kind of streaming service, courtside something, but you had to pay, and it just made it really difficult to watch. Yeah. And I thought the intriguing thing about this, our U.S. women's team played and beat Brazil in the final 92-84. That Brazilian team was led by, obviously, Camila Cardoso and Demarius Dantas. When these players get to go on their national team, they start playing like Michael Jordan.
They be different. It's like you go to your national team and watch something completely different.
It's just different. But that USA women's team was loaded with our collegiate talent, which I think was a difference of them being, just shows you how dominant that pool is when you can send a team full of collegiate players and they were able to win an international tournament. Shout out to Michaela Blakes, who scored 27 points in that final game. She is heading into her sophomore season, so she was a freshman only last year. It can only imagine what kind of damage she's going to do at Vanderbilt coming up this season. And then Hannah Hidalgo showed out as always. Her and Olivia Miles back on the same team. They were able, come home with a gold medal, as well as Joyce Edwards, who, again, another one of those freshmen heading into her sophomore season, had to battle her South Carolina faithful and Camilla in that championship game and did a really, really good job. But I was just impressed by how a lot of our collegiate players were able just to, march through that entire game. And then, we just dump them in there. It's like you don't get time to practice. There's no...
Go handle it.
No, it's just... Go handle it all. And, coincidentally, this team didn't have any of the UConn players. AZ Fudd didn't play, and as usual, not as usual, but due to her injury, Juju Watkins wasn't there. But it just shows you the dearth of talent. And I didn't even get to all the other players. Flau'jae was on the team.
Yep.
Madison Booker was on the team. So, it was loaded with collegiate talent, and they were able to win the America Cup. But just like we just said with international soccer, I think there is time for one of these millions of subscription in sports to just create an international women's something where we can watch all the international and or Copa America, Cups, World Cups, all in one place without having to search 150 million different places.
And have 50 million different subscriptions.
Facts. In other news, what do you think about the New York Knicks? I know we're kind of jumping around, but this is full court press and it's been a minute. I just wanted some thoughts on, the New York Knicks. I know they probably already got there. I think they gave an offer to Mike Brown, but in women's sports news, they put a call in to Don Staley. What you think about that?
Leave Don alone. Leave Auntie Don alone. No, I think that's just a huge move because you think you think of it, and there's never been a head coach in the NBA as a female head coach in the NBA, and who better? That's all I can say. Like, who better?
Right.
Than Dawn?
Who could command a locker room? Not saying that there hasn't been before. I think there was some push years ago for Pat Summitt to get the nod, but she wasn't going to leave Tennessee under any circumstance. And I know Coach Staley signed that contract going through 2030, so it doesn't look like she's leaving South Carolina anytime soon.
But if it was anybody, it would be Dawn, because Dawn just commands that, like you said, commands that respect. She could get. I think Dawn could make me do anything. Like, whatever Dawn's, I'd be like, yes, like, absolutely. So I don't think there's a better person to have gotten that call. So
yeah, facts. I'm ready for the NBA. Now, granted, I want talent, women's talent to, the W is growing. I want them to stay in the W or want to, stay in women's college basketball. But I do think we're far in enough time where there's capable, culpable women coaches who have the ability to coach NBA teams and NBA locker rooms. I know Dawn Staley and Becky Hammond got a call a couple years ago with the Portland Trailblazers to do an interview for a job, but I think it's high time for somebody to get the nod. I know Lindsey Harding is over there doing some good work in the NBA. She's coaching one of the summer league teams. So if she can't get the NBA job, hey, somebody need to poach her in the WNBA, because there probably needs to be some changes on some of these teams. I said it, you didn't.
About that,
yeah. And we're gonna do a redux of our dark, twisted WNBA season that has absolutely no rhyme or reason to what's going on in the league. We're gonna save a little bit of the expansion for our X's and O's segment, but just to run through a little bit what's going on in the W. The Indiana Fever has racked up a couple of wins. They had, they have these random losses against like the Sparks. They killed the Aces. They beat the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup, but then lose to the Sparks. But they've been looking really good with Caitlin Clark out probably for the last 6-7 games.
5 games, yeah.
Yeah, and Ari McDonald got signed. She's been running. Aaliyah Boston has been playing huge. Kelsey Mitchell has been playing incredibly as well. Defensively, they're just nasty. I mean, I don't have enough term, and I know I kind of hit you with something before you wanted me to talk about it. Is this Indiana team playing better without Caitlin Clark? Defensively, they are playing better without Caitlin Clark. Just because even when they played the Aces a couple of, not the blowout, but last time they played the Aces in Vegas, they were able to hide Caitlin Clark guarding Kia Stokes. But I think with Ari McDonald, it just gives you a quicker, a better quick twitch defender that allows them to play this more aggressive defense. I am not going to say that on the offensive side of the basketball. I still think the Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston pick and roll is probably the most lethal right now in the WNBA. But seeing how they integrate her back into the offense, that is yet to be seen, but I'm not ready to press that button yet. They just look better defensively, not all the way around.
Not overall.
Not overall. But one team who desperately needs their player back is the New York Liberty. They've been without Jonquel Jones for probably the same amount of time. She's only been around for 9 games, and they went 8-1. But ever since she's been out, they look normal. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they looking like what I projected for them at the beginning of the season, which was not a repeat.
Yeah.
And then they started to prove me wrong, and I was going back on my word, but now I'm ready to stick to my word.
Yeah, they need... it's kind of hard to quantify a player when you say most valuable. With Jonquel Jones on that team, they look nearly unbeatable, but without her, they came back to earth a little bit. Had some losses to Seattle, a couple of other losses too. But I think if anybody needs a vision of an important player for that team, I don't think they're going to get far without Jonquel Jones. So hopefully she gets back really, really soon. Last show we did, it was titled "What's Going On with the Aces?" That's still the question. But they traded their 2027 first round pick to Dallas for Nalissa Smith. Look, for me, they had to do something. I don't necessarily know if that was the move. I really like Nalissa. I think she has a huge upside. I think her playing alongside Asia is going to do wonders for her if she buys into it. But they need her to be great in order for them to be in contention. She can't be average because, look, there's a couple players on that team that we may need to call to the carpet again. Are you going to do it or you want me to do it?
I'm not doing it.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm not ready to diagnose. I'll keep that to the end of the season of what I think, the trajectory of what happened to the Aces, because I think everybody is shocked about that. This is not the position. They're 8-8 or 9-9. They're a 500 team. I don't think any of us expected that. But not saying that the Kelsey Plum trade would have made a huge difference. Defensively, they would have been in the same spot because every other team got better to beat that core Las Vegas Aces team with Kelsey Plum on it. But I think it's been abundantly clear that Kelsey Plum was more comfortable being that second option for the Aces, scoring option. Jackie has that capability, but Jackie be... when you jump and roll, you doing double dutch.
She stutter stepping.
She stutter stepping in, then she stutter stepping out. It's just not a consistent second scoring option that the Aces can rely on, and that was none more clear than when they played Indiana. Asia had over half of their points, had over half of their field goals made, and it was just like, oh my God, they got to do something.
I'm not acknowledging that game.
Yeah.
What happened?
But it was like four of them. It was them. They got beat by them by 27. They got beat by Golden State by 27. They got beat by Seattle by like 27. Like, they've been taking some nasty losses. But the two big ones, and I'll go out and say it. I don't think the Jewel Lloyd trade is working. Just because they needed Jewel Lloyd from maybe 2002, 2003, who was a scorer at every level. And she's not meshing well with that offense for whatever reason. I know Becky Hammond talked about bringing her off the bench. Maybe they need to do that, have her be the sixth man. But she's just not giving you a lot offensively. And she's definitely not giving you any kind of intensity defensively. And I think, and it's not to knock her because Jewel is Jewel. Her resume is solidified. I just don't think the trade of where she is in her career is working for the Aces right now. The last one, I'm going to say it, that I don't think any of us anticipated is the play of Chelsea Gray. Like,
I never want you to say it, but
like, it's hard to say.
We have to.
But we kind of have to. Like, and I don't want to call it a decline in a player because we just saw her in Unrivaled.
Yeah.
And when she, wraps herself in the form, she's nearly unstoppable. But if we look at those games and the fluidity of their offense, Chelsea Gray ain't Chelsea Gray and how she used to. Like, her handle in the ball is a bit looser. Her decision-making is a bit looser. That pick and roll with her and Asia that used to be deadly isn't the same anymore. They're just sometimes her decision-making coming down the stretch. I mean, there was one game against the Mystics. It was like a 4-on-5... a 5-on-4, and then she took a transition 3. I'm like, Chelsea Gray of old wouldn't have, I don't think she would have done that. She's always been a risk taker, but I don't think, if people were honest, I don't think any of us could have anticipated just the drop in play from Chelsea Gray. She's not playing like we've seen her the last 2-3 years. And if that doesn't change, if her play doesn't change, it's going to be a scary season for the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah. So are we? Let me ask you this real quick before we get off the Aces. Are we throwing this season away?
You can't. You got Asia. You got Asia in her prime. You can't. Like, it's a failure. Like, and then you just gave away another first round pick.
First round pick.
Right.
There's no point in throwing it.
Again, I hate to say it, but outside of Asia and outside of Jackie, who can you trade? Who on any other team, what package can you put together with the players that are currently on the Aces that'll get you valuable pieces back?
Yeah.
In the comments, please school me. Like, I want to hear from people. Who on the Aces outside of Asia Wilson herself and Jackie Young would you be
Asia
willing to give
at
up?
The end of the season.
Asia ain't leaving. I think she's gonna have to make some decisions internally. Like, you want to play with your friends or you want to win.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you want to win, y'all got to make something shake. Because every other team got better in the offseason to beat you guys. And they're legit showing it. And you guys haven't really done anything. But they can't throw the season away. To answer your question, no. Like, You're going to waste a year of Asia's prime. Then you're at the risk of the Golden State Valkyries or one of these other expansion teams saying, hey, new CBA, new money, new bill, face of the franchise. What if Philly in 2030? I don't know how old Asia would be at that time, but I'm willing to go after her.
Right.
Bring Don Staley that contract in. Bring Don Staley to the Philly franchise. Poach Asia. Like, some decisions got to be made.
Yes.
And going along with some of those decisions, the CBA negotiations have been going on. News came out that the WNBA Players Association rejected the the league's first offer, and Satu Sabali, who is always doesn't
lack anything to say.
No, doesn't hold anything
back.
Said the offer was a slap in the face. And Nneka Ogwumike, Madam President, said that the commissioner told her that the players don't understand how the business works. So they can just tell you a little bit of the contentiousness of what these negotiations are going to look like. And then the league, they came out and said the players have zero idea of what real media exposure is. So it's woo.
We're not going to have a season next year.
You think they're striking?
We're not playing next year.
They striking?
It's striking.
Okay. You know,
and that might be that might be needed. Maybe we need a week. Maybe we need a season off, guys.
You know what? That's not a bad idea, because I think
that's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea, because all of the stands for specific players, as well as some of the reporters who have turned into stands and putting Dejanay back into the news over something that happened a year ago. I'm with you. I think the W just needs an entire year break to inhale and exhale.
We need another COVID year. We need a bubble.
We need a bubble.
We need a bubble with very little media access. And like 2 cameras, no fans. That's what we need.
We need a bubble. But you really think the players should strike? I
don't think, it's not that I think they should strike. I think they should if what they want is not being agreed upon. I think it's at that point. I think you're at that point. Yeah. Yeah.
I think so too. I think that they're not going to have as much leverage as they do now, depending on how long the CBA, the contract extends. So like, you're planning for not only like Hannah Hidalgo's class and Lauren Bett's class, you're planning for and Azifa, you're planning for Juju's class and all those, and Malaysia for Wiley's class. Like, you're prepping for a lot of these superstars coming into the league, and there's no better time but now. But I don't know if we're in a cultural landscape where the players, and especially while we're saying that the W needs to take a break, I don't know if we're in a cultural landscape where they'll be supported in the way that they need to. A lot of these women historically have had to accept bad offers just so the league can exist. So your Caitlin Clarks, your Angel Reese's, your Kiki Iriafins, your Sonia Centrons had some place to go. They had to accept less so the league could maintain itself. But at the same time, in order for them to get more, they may have to do something drastic. I just hope that people are going to be able to support the players in what they need. Because to me, they're not asking for something that's unreasonable. They're not asking to be paid like the NBA. They're not asking even for $1 million contracts. They're saying eventually they just want a fair split of the revenue share. They want maternity leave protections. They want expanded roster spots, which is extraordinarily necessary because there's no development league, and I don't think there should be one. That's one of the reasons to me why the WNBA is as great as it is because we've gotten to see talent grow in women's college basketball. And then that 2023 class was able to bridge collegiate and the pros. Creating a WNBA G League is not going to cut it. And we don't want players. I saw something else like, should players be able to leave early? No, we need these players developed when they get in the league where every team is great. So, hopefully, I think they have a big meeting at All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis, and Breanna Stewart was like, she ready. She was like, she get on a flight early. Right. Well, so they should be ready. But that's our little spiel on the CBA negotiations. But before we leave, we're gonna tap back into the WNBA a little bit in our X's and O's. But before we get out of here with the WNBA, the All-Star reserves got announced.
Yes.
It's been a fairly interesting season. So you kind of never know who was going to be picked. So,
right.
Skylar Diggins, to me, no brainer. Ryan Howard, Kelsey Mitchell, Angel Reese, Alyssa Thomas, Courtney Williams, Gabby Williams, Jackie Young, Kayla Thornton from the Valkyries, who's been playing out of her mind. Kelsey Plum made it as well. And then two other rookies, Kiki Iriafen and Sonia Citron from the Mystics, was able to make the WNBA All-Star Reserve. Now, who got snubbed? Because that was a bit of some controversy. First of all, what do you think about, let me see if I can pull it up, of Dearica Hamby saying, whatever about me, but taking two and not including the best player from a below 500 team is crazy.
Oh.
When I tell you the WNBA is messy.
The WNBA is so messy.
It's so messy. Like, she wasn't even vouching for her own player, because I do think Azurá Stevens deserved a spot on the team. I think I know I asked you the question, now I'm answering it, but I think what has kind of, this season just has no rhyme or reason. So you have individual players playing really well, and then you have their teams playing horribly.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't see you putting two Sparks on the All-Star team, because their team record is very bad. But then at the same time, they put two Washington rookies on the All-Star team, and they leave off Brittany Sykes.
Right.
Atlanta is playing extraordinarily well. You got Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray. Bree Jones, did she get looked at fairly? You know what I mean? Indiana is an 8-18. Caitlin, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell are all All-Stars. However, for Minnesota, who has the best record in the league, it's just Nafisa and Courtney Williams. And Courtney kind of slid. She kind of slid in there a little bit. So how did you think about how everything kind of shook out?
This WNBA season simply can't be real this year. Like, this simply cannot be real life. And I'm actually refusing to speak on anything else. Not
your comment out.
No, it's what do you say? Like, what is the justice, like, explain it. Like, explain it to me. Explain it to me. That's what,
like, the season or like the All-Star picks?
The pick, anything, all of it, like anything that's happening.
It has no rhyme or reason.
Yeah,
it just does it. You have your top teams. Like I said, Minnesota, the Liberty, Atlanta, Phoenix, Seattle.
But here's my thing. I will say this too. We say all this, and it's not a knock on the rookies, because I think Kiki and Sonia are both having incredible rookie seasons. Mm-hmm. So like the comment with whatever Dearica said, I don't want to take anything away from them rookies, because I think they are playing, and they got Washington looking like they
better than we expected.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't want to take nothing away from them getting those picks. Mm-hmm. But, however, like you said, was everybody fairly looked at?
Right.
And there's just certain people you just don't leave off rosters.
Who's that person? Give me one name. Brittany Sykes, Rhonda Jones, Azurá Stevens.
Listen, I mean,
yeah. Since you left me hanging on the one question, so Jacko Jones probably would have made the All-Star team if she wasn't injured, but she only played 8 games. I believe that's the same amount of games that Caitlin Clark has played.
Your captain?
Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone.
You're a captain? Anyway,
yeah.
But also, Brittany had a little injury spell too, so
yeah, she did.
She missed a couple games. She missed a couple games.
She did. But this is our, what do we call it? Beautiful, dark, twisted WNBA season. No rhyme, no reason. Let's head over to our She Did That segment. Shout out to Sue Bird. She'll be the first WNBA player awarded a statue from their franchise. Surprisingly, it hasn't happened before, but,
yeah.
You looking into
I
it. I
actually don't believe that, because in my mind, Lisa Leslie has a statue outside the stadium.
Yeah.
It's fine.
She has her jersey retired, but I don't think she has a statue. And,
in my mind, it happened. I was
there, so. And then, the trio, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, don't have one because the Houston Comets doesn't exist anymore. Diana Taurasi probably is going to get one, but she just retired. But Sue Bird is going to be that first. Spent her entire career with the Seattle Storm. I believe she has 3 WNBA championships, if not 4. But we don't need to run down Sue Bird's resume of how well she's doing. And shout out to Candace Parker as well. She got her jersey retired from the Los Angeles Sparks, and they were able to mend that relationship. Although I will never forget how Derek Fisher benched her in a playoff game on the road.
I hate it because
elimination game.
I love Derek Fisher down. That was my Laker. Like, I did not like the Lakers, but Derek Fisher was my guy, so I hate.
And I'm sorry, Candace, for bringing that up. I would still love to interview you and you to come on our show so we can talk about your book, but he did you dirty on that. But I'm glad you mend your fences. She's going to get 2 jersey retirements this year, one with the Sparks and another with the Chicago Sky. But shout out to both of those players. And then over in track and field, the Prefontaine Classic happened. There was a lot of stuff. And sometimes with track and field, it's just hard to pinpoint which events to cover because there's so much happening. But I have to give a shout out to Faith Kipyegon. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist in the 1,500 meters. She broke another world record in the 1,500 meters at the Prefontaine Classic. But Faith's crusade, I should say, she is as dominant as she is in the 1,500 meters. She is seeking to be the first woman to run under a mile in under 4 minutes. She just tried it, I believe, a couple of weeks before the Prefontaine. She had everything was set. If you watched it, it was really, really exciting. She got 4 minutes and 6 seconds, so she's only 6 seconds away from breaking that world record. Not breaking the world record. She already owns the world record, but breaking that 4-minute mile mark for women, which is going to be a tremendous, tremendous accomplishment. And if anybody can do it, she can do it. So if anybody is tuned in to track and field, I know we shout out, your Gabby Thomases a lot, your Tara Davis Woodhalls, your Sydney McLaughlin, Sha'Carri, all of those players. And athletes who do extraordinarily well, but Faith is dominating her sport, and we wanted to give she did that for what she did this weekend and breaking her own world record. Now, before we get out of here, we're going to do a quick X's and O's. We're going to head back to that beautiful, dark, twisted WNBA season. But we're going to talk about the recent news that came out about WNBA expansion. The WNBA has awarded franchises to Cleveland, Detroit, and to Philadelphia. If I have the years right, it'll be 26, 27, or 26, 28. And I think Philly is 2030, so there's still a couple of years off. Each of these teams have ties to NBA ownership that look to be a priority. So off rip, just having Cleveland, Detroit, and Philly back, what do you think about those selections? And this is over bids from, the Tennessee Summit. I had bid a team. I know Charlotte has been trying to get a team. Houston is trying to get their team back. So what do you think about these 3 teams?
I'm not mad at the picks. I'm not mad in the sense that...
You sound very enthusiastic.
No. I mean... Would it be my top picks to go? No.
Right. Not you sounding like Sophie.
I know. No, don't do that. No, but I genuinely do. I think, especially like a team like Detroit Shock, been around. That
Historical.
Was a team
Right.
Exactly. So, I would have liked to see Houston back.
Yeah.
Personally, just if we're going off, teams that have been around, and there's also an NBA team in Houston.
Right.
In case we forgot about the Rockets, who just acquired Kevin Durant, by the way.
Right.
I guess, I don't know, wherever he's at it now. But anyway, off of them. Yeah, did we need 3? That's my real question.
Whoa.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the WNBA this. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't understand any decisions that's being made.
I think they need a project manager is what they need. Like
something like.
Because I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. Selfishly, I am happy that the Cleveland is back.
Yes.
You see it. You see it.
We're not mad at that.
I'm happy that they're back, and obviously Detroit has a history, and I think that kind of blue collar swag, kind of get it out the mud city. Same thing with Philly. I think that will be good. I think my hesitation is not having a Southern team, another Southern team. I think there's just Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot. We're leaving out a lot. I think Charlotte, Tennessee. I think another Southern team, Houston, should be the WNBA's next one. I hoped that would have been one in their 3 that they selected. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, and I know we could get heat for this. I'm not for sure of NBA ownership being prioritized, because we went down that route before, and I think this is what a lot of the WNBA players are saying, where you're kind of get hit with where you guys don't understand business. They're like, we're telling you what has happened. It's all circular. Like, we've had NBA teams try to be or present themselves to be a priority, or treat the WNBA like a priority, only to treat it like it's a second class team. Right. My idea was, why not go after more NFL owners? We see what kind of money that Mark Davis put into the Las Vegas Aces. We see what an independent group like the Seattle Storm, the Seattle Storm, how much money and infrastructure they put independently owned, because the NBA team is not in Seattle. But then we see how NBA franchises can act, meaning the Golden State Valkyries and the New York Liberty, but their owners, the size on the Brooklyn Nets. If you're going to have NBA prioritization, their owners need to treat their teams like they do. But if they don't, I think more of another goal probably would have, instead of expanding, and I'm probably answering a different question than what I like about these teams, but I think it should have been maybe moving those teams where their NBA counterparts are not putting their everything into those WNBA teams. Or try to help teams at Atlanta who are trying to make something shake. They downsized but changed the culture, and now everybody's excited to go. Maybe prioritize that instead of expanding so soon. My big thing was roster spots. Like, how about we put 15 spots on a roster instead of expanding to new cities? Because you can have all the players in the world, you're still going to run into the same issue. You're going to have 12 new players, but 1 or 2 gets hurt. Everybody's just going to be in the same boat. And I just don't want us to end up like we were. If you were around when it started, everybody was excited. All the records were being broken, attendance records, viewership records. They still haven't been surpassed since the early 2000s, only to expand really, really quickly. And then you see teams fold, and especially teams of the historical nature, like a Houston Comets, no longer be around. So we'll see what this whole CBA looks like. We'll see what what expansion looks like. I'm with you. I don't really know. I think there's dueling things going on. The commissioner in the league is trying to make as much money as possible, and the players are trying to make a league that can actually sustain itself.
Exactly. I just think everybody's wires are crossed this season. This season's not real. I'm telling you right now. We're going to finish this season because it's not real.
Okay.
And then
lockout.
Put actual physical locks on every gym. Like, nobody can go in.
Oh, don't do that. Before we leave off, now that you say that, because now we skipping on, this is like extra time and X's and O's. People were a bit upset saying that Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart being a part of the WNBA's Player Association is a conflict of interest because they are owners of Unrivaled. What do you think about that?
I think maybe if y'all had a business that y'all cared about. No, I mean, what is the conflict of interest? If I'm coming here, I'm doing my job. I'm there, I'm doing my job. What?
I'm with you. They would have needed to create an Unrivaled if you prioritize what the players have been wanting the entire time.
That part.
There was nothing stopping the WNBA to even have an Unrivaled themselves. But you can't be mad at the players on their own time, outside of the constraints of the WNBA, created an opportunity for players to stay home, to work on their games, to get paid more money, and to almost break even. Because everybody's like, oh, the WNBA doesn't make any money. Unrivaled nearly broke even their first year.
Yeah.
Have viewership records. So, hey, and let's not say if they're able to pull in, what if Asia say, hey, I'm coming to Unrivaled?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So you can't be like...
And we're going to have Unrivaled 2.0 in the summer. So what? And we running it back for the Summer League. We're going to have Unrivaled Summer League next year.
Now you're speaking, not with me with this WNBA shirt on, you speaking to strike into existence.
No, I'm not. I really hope they're able to come to an agreement, just genuinely just for the players.
Right.
The players' sake. Because I don't want to see them on strike. I don't want to see them have to go through that and those negotiations and everything like that. Because then that's when it gets really messy, you know?
Facts.
So,
and, you know,
come to agreement.
Like we've been saying, you know, with the expansion and everything like that, it's all, the goal is the same thing. You need a league and the players to be taken care of to even get to these new teams, to Cleveland, Detroit, to Philly. And it can't necessarily, it has to be beneficial for the players as well, just not, you know, the people who have funds that are hopping on the bandwagon now. There needs to be, you know, the players should be able to get taken care of a bit better than they are now. So we'll see what can happen. But that is our show. Please stick with us. We're going to be on it next Monday, Tuesday. These shows are going to be coming out. They get released every Wednesday. But please follow us too. We'll probably have more content. We will have more content on all our social media platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Caitlin and Nafisa are announcing their rosters now, so we'll probably do a quick little something to recap that. Yeah, but this is our show, The Playbook, and we are Girls Only Sports.